Hello everybody, today is Van Life update number 65. It's the first week of March. Hope everyone's doing okay today. Today I'm going to do a little soul searching. I've been doing a little bit of thinking the last couple days. Yesterday I touched on it. It's this idea of the shift in my thinking. You know, when I began this journey back in December the 20th, that first video, I was thinking about purchasing a van. And back then I was telling myself, you know, it's only about money. That's really the only obstacle that any of us have in terms of sometimes when we're trying to reach a goal or wanting to do something, it usually comes down to just the money. And so I've been thinking about this idea of, you know, what it's going to take to accomplish what I want to accomplish, which is to transition into van life and really purchase a van and travel and create content while I'm on the road. So my original plan was to save money, earn it, buy a van, and slowly build it out as I hit the road. But then I started thinking, that's sort of small thinking, isn't it? Don't we sometimes just think too small? We go for the least common denominator. So I've been asking myself a bigger question. What if I reframe this whole idea of van life and look at it from another standpoint, another viewpoint? Instead of just me buying a van and getting on the road and creating content on YouTube and maybe doing some paintings and drawings, you know, that's kind of small thinking. What if I enlarge this whole idea and look at it in terms of a project, a big, major project? Not just a van purchase, but more of a long-term project, something that is centered in van life. You know, I was a journalist earlier in my life. My college degree was actually in journalism, photojournalism, photography. And I've still got this journalist edge in me that wants to observe and study and look at things and dig deep into issues and dig deep into ideas. And so this whole idea of van life started taking on a new dimension for me when I started looking at it from the standpoint of a journalist or an observer. What is it about van life that is so interesting to me? Over 3 million van lifers exist, and the number is growing every year as more young people and more retired folks buy RVs and move into their vans full time. They're selling their homes, they're downsizing, they're getting rid of all of their stuff and moving into a van. Why is it? Why is it becoming so popular? So I've started looking at this instead of a small idea of me just buying a van, a used van, hopping in that van and just starting to travel. That's sort of small thinking. I started looking at this as a bigger idea, this whole idea of van life in America. So it's a mental shift that I'm making here, and I'm sharing this with you today so that you'll know that I'm shifting my thinking. I'm expanding my scope. I'm starting to think big. I think so many times we are hindered by small thinking. Why hold us back? Start thinking big. Come up with a big idea. So instead of me scraping money and trying to add a little dollar here, a dollar there, living on Social Security and trying to come up with a down payment and looking for a cheap used van, I'm setting all that aside, and I'm starting to look at this whole idea as a major project, a serious exploration of van life in America, almost like a documentary filmmaker. I'm going to be documenting van life in America, and I'm going to do it over a longer period of time. These are the ways I'm thinking right now. I'm expanding my thinking. I'm looking for that big idea. I want to document van life in America. I want to speak to other van lifers and ask them why they have chosen this lifestyle. I want to travel across North America, including Canada. I want to meet people on the road. I want to meet van lifers at these conventions and at these meetups and at these major events that are happening on an annual basis across America, where van lifers get together along with vendors from the RV world and all of the vendors and merch that is available for camping and RV life and van life. I want to attend those events, and I want to talk to people. I want to try to understand what's going on in America as more of us are giving up everything we have and scaling down and moving into a van to travel, to see America. Not only do I want to meet people on the road or explore this whole idea of van life, but also as an artist, I want to create art. I want to do some drawings. I want to document my journey in paint and in pencil as well. So that's going to be a part of this big idea. So I'm not treating this like a personal purchase of a van. I'm wanting to do something bigger. I'm thinking in terms of a multi-year project, something that's going to go beyond a year. I'm thinking in terms of having sponsorships. Maybe something like documenting van life, looking at van life from a cultural standpoint, as a cultural movement. And what, as a journalist, using that part of my background, what is it about the culture of van life that is so attractive? I want to explore that. Well, today, I've taken things a step further. Instead of thinking small, I'm starting to think big. So I've started looking into a long-term project. I've started thinking about the name of that project. I've started thinking about designing logos. I've already started coming up with ideas for what kind of van I want, how I'm going to get it paid for. I've even gone as far as starting to design some van wraps for my sponsors. Some main ideas that the project can include. So let's just say that today, for the last 2 or 3 hours at least this morning, I've been going down a deep hole. I've been going deep into this idea of a major project. And I have come up with some interesting ideas. So over the next few updates, I'll be slowly revealing to you some of these ideas. I'll be showing you some of the thinking I've been going through. And behind it all, I think, is this idea of expanding our brains, expanding our ideas, going beyond thinking small. Think big. I want to encourage all of us to think big. Sometimes progress doesn't start with just money or equipment or having a specific skill. Sometimes it all comes down to just thinking bigger.